Good afternoon, hockey fans. Data here with breaking news in National Hockey League as the trade deadline is approaching. One player's name is off the trade list, and that is the name of Jake Evans of the Montreal Canadiens, as he has re-signed a 4-year extension with the Habs, staying in Montreal at a $2.85 million AAV. As a Canadiens fan, I don't usually do extension breaking news streams, but I really wanted to do this one as he was also a big name in trade conversations. So let's start talking about this. What does this mean for the Montreal Canadiens? What does this mean for other teams who are trying to target maybe that third line center approaching the deadline? Well, who is Jake Evans? He's been having a great year this season right now with the Montreal Canadiens. 4 years at $2.85 million. He is a third line two-way center with some passing and puck skill, has played more shorthanded minutes in the past 3 seasons than any other forward. The results have not always been great. He does have 6 shorthanded points this season. Jay Fresh also saying in that first percentile of penalty killing, I wouldn't read too much into that penalty kill wins above replacement. He's generally outperformed the on-ice expected goals against numbers on the penalty kill, and public models have a tough time with shorthanded results anyway. I also wouldn't read too much into his scoring hot streak because he has 2 goals in 2025. So these numbers, as I've been saying for a lot of these players over the course of all my breaking news live streams and whatnot, I wouldn't say that the Jay Fresh card is the be-all, end-all of a player. It paints part of a picture. So I wouldn't look at the first percentile of penalty killing and all that. Jake Evans has been a very solid penalty killing player. And as someone who watches the Canadiens, I can speak to that. I try to hold my bias out of it as much as possible, as much as I say, go Habs, go. I truly think that Jake Evans has been a great penalty killer, a great third line center. And the numbers show that he does have a great improvement from last season, 2023-24 into 2024-25. Welcome, Mr. Brian Michalak, Mighty Joe, Alexi, and yes, the Trent Frederick trade. We'll get to that later on as well. I want to get this one done first. It's 2 years in a row that I'm out buying shoes, a pair of running shoes, when a trade happens, but I made it home in time. So primary assists per 60 and 68th yes, 68th percentile over the last 3 years, according to weighted average data. Even strength offense and defense around league average to slightly above league average. Yeah, Armia is definitely one who will be keeping an eye on. Will Canadiens look to trade Yoel Armia now that Evans is extended and he's the one they're keeping? That'll definitely be another question to be asked for sure. But yeah, just to go on about the value of Jake Evans, you see that his value has exponentially increased from somewhere around that like 15th percentile to now well over, like probably not like 60th percentile this year. The wins that he provides above that of a replacement level player. A few years ago, you would have thought of Jake Evans as a replacement level player, but now he is providing value that is in that 60th percentile of players in the league, forwards in the league, above that of a replacement level player. That's what I'm trying to say. So I like this a lot for the Montreal Canadiens. Not only that we're re-signing Jake Evans, I say we, not the Canadiens are re-signing Jake Evans, but it's time to make, I don't mean to go on a soapbox here, but it's time to make a decision. When the Canadiens are on a 5-game winning streak and they're in the mix for the postseason, they're one of 5 teams fighting for 2 spots in the Eastern Conference. If we go and look at the wildcard race right now, there's a certain point that has to come to say, we're not going to be selling our pieces anymore. This is a good young player. I say young, he's 28. He's not like he's 34, I'm trying to say. He's a player who's in his prime. He's of use right now. He's not of use 3 years from now as much, maybe, or whatever, 5 years from now. He's not going to a team that needs younger players, because by the time those young players come in, he'll be in his mid-30s. He's a player for a team that's making a push now to at least make the postseason, and that's who the Montreal Canadiens are. The Canadiens need to be keeping players like this, and to get him for 4 more years at under $3 million at the value that he's been providing, that's a steal of a contract for Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens. He wanted to stay in Montreal. As we're reading right here, the Montreal Canadiens announced they signed Jake Evans. Excellent value for the Habs. Not only is Jake Evans a great player in the room and on the ice, but this can be easily traded down the line. Of course, if things don't go right, you can trade $2.85 million, especially if it's going to be 50% retained or whatever else. And yes, no trade protection on this trade either. So extension for Jake Evans. This takes the number 4 player off the trade target board for Frank Saravalli, and most importantly, keeps Evans in Montreal for the playoff push without eliminating their future flexibility. There's this board here as well. I can't really say that I've ever seen this before, but just if you're curious about some of the numbers, ooh, flashy colors on Jake Evans. There you go. Eric Engels also saying that is a fair, if not favorable, deal for the Habs and a smart one for Evans, even if he might have gotten more going to market. In Montreal, he is valued for the player he is, and he remains in position to be used the way he should be, and he is happy there. I think that makes a world of sense. A world of sense. Yeah, I think not like a steal, like, oh, we could have gotten 5 million, but he definitely could have gotten, I think, 3.5 on the open market or whatever else. So to see that he signs long term, 4 years at 2.85 million, this is very nice. How likely is that this was a sign and trade? I would say not likely at all. Not likely at all in this case, in this scenario right here. So Jake Evans, who has he been with the Montreal Canadiens? A 7th round pick back in 2014. So, you know, the Montreal Canadiens, between Jake Evans and Raphael Harvey-Pinard and Caden Primo, these aren't elite NHLers, but they're getting value out of their 7th round picks. I find that really crazy. The amount of 7th round picks who make it, I feel like there's more for the Canadiens than almost any other team. If I just scroll through a little bit through past years, Seaman was a 6th round pick. If we go back, here's Raphael Harvey-Pinard in 2019. Then you got Caden Primo in 2017. Later picks like 5th and 6th, but Jake Evans there again, 2014, 7th round pick. Definitely not hitting every single year, but it feels as though almost no team ever hits. And the Canadiens over the last like 6 drafts or 6-7 drafts have gotten like 3 to hit. And hit, I mean, by hit, I just mean to make the NHL a little bit. So Jake Evans, drafted 207th back in 2014 out of Notre Dame, played in Laval for a couple of years, and then now he's been a solid contributor here in Montreal. 28 points in 82 games last year, and now this year, 28 points in just 61 games, 21 games less, and he has matched his career high. Sorry, no, he's 1 point away from his career high in points. I got to say, there's value in that too. He's getting better. He might not be continuing to get better. He might plateau at a 30-point guy or something, but he's becoming that guy that you would really say, wow, what great ROI, return on investment for a 7th round pick. And Jake Evans is playing solid minutes too. He's not just a 12-minute guy. He's into a 16-minute guy at times. He's averaged 15.34 per night this season, but you can look the last 5 games, 16.05, 15.5, 15.5, 16.14, 16.5. He's doing a lot out there. He's throwing hits more than he usually does as well. He has a career high in hits through 61 games. More ice time means more hits, means more of doing what he does. He plays not a physical game, but I think for a 6-foot frame, he stands well. He's strong on his feet. He's not easily moved off of the puck. He has a certain grit to his game too. Good two-way ability. All the things you would want for the Montreal Canadiens. And instead of going out and trading for one in a couple of years, you have him here now. You can't keep trading away these pieces if you want to become a contending team in the near future. The Canadiens are ready to say we want to make the playoffs, if not next season, definitely this season. Sorry, if not this season, definitely next season. And at a certain point, you got to start hanging on to those guys, maybe not for the right now, but also for the near future. Win saying another Kent Hughes win. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes except Doc and Newhook. Well, that's still yet to be seen too. Doc's more of the injuries thing, and Newhook is doing okay. Yeah. The Bruins might be moving Carlo next. Yeah, we have the Trent Frederick trade that we'll be breaking down in maybe about 10 minutes from now. But that's it for Jake Evans. So now what does this mean for the rest of the league? So Canadiens hang on to Jake Evans. They're 1 point out of the playoffs. The Red Wings have a game in hand. It's going to come down to the Blue Jackets, the Red Wings, the Rangers, the Senators, and the Canadiens, in my opinion. The Bruins, with Marchand out for week to week, Frederick out, Carlo probably out soon. I think the Bruins are out of contention. I think the Flyers are going to be out of contention. They're going to move Scott Lawton. The Islanders are going to move Nelson Palmieri. I think everyone from the Bruins and below are not making the postseason. That's my opinion right now. So it's going to come down to 5 teams for 2 spots. I know the Rangers have been hotter as of late, 7-3-0 in their last 10. I'm not super convinced by the Rangers. In my opinion, again, just the guy on YouTube, I think it's between the Blue Jackets, Red Wings, Senators, and Canadiens. And I might even give the edge to the Canadiens over the Senators. It might be more between the Blue Jackets, the Red Wings, and the Canadiens. Is that a little bit of bias as a Canadiens fan? Maybe. So do take it with a grain of salt. I am being totally transparent. But the fact is, forget my opinion, it's going to be 5 teams for 2 spots. If not, maybe the Rangers, but the Bruins, but I doubt they're going to be doing that. So I would say, yes, 5 teams for 2 spots. So the Canadiens are staying as strong by keeping Jake Evans. They're not going to be taking away from their team. Will they possibly make an acquisition? I wonder. Because if you're extending Jake Evans, I doubt you're trading Armia for like a 3rd round pick or whatever. I doubt you're trading David Savard for, again, a 2nd or a 3rd round pick. I doubt the Canadiens are doing that. And give me a second here, let me pull up the Puckpedia page. Hey, thanks for joining us. It's Jake Evans extending. Hold on, let me show. For who is this? Penzi? This is the signing right here. Jake Evans. He can't listen in class. 4 years, 2.85 million. There you go. Give me a second here. I'll just pull up the Puckpedia page on the Canadiens and their draft pick situation. So we look at the Montreal Canadiens. They already, not to say that you don't want more picks, but already 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 2 fourths. The Canadiens have enough picks to say I think we're content. I don't think they're going to feel forced to trade Armia or Savard for a third or a fourth. The Canadiens are going to be okay with hanging on, if not adding a bit more. They have almost 6.7 million in cap space thanks to LTIR. I wouldn't be surprised if they use one of those picks now with Kirby Dach out for the rest of the year. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the Canadiens made a very small throwing a bone type of thing. What comes to my mind, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of like how the Toronto Maple Leafs acquired Brian Boyle when they were a fringe playoff team and Matthews and Nylander and Marner were all in like their first or second season. They know they're not going for a Stanley Cup, but they've been strong enough to make the playoffs, and their GM might throw them a bone. That's the type of deal that I'm talking about for the Montreal Canadiens. I wouldn't be surprised if they make some sort of small deal like that. It's not time for the Cup. It's not time to trade all your assets, but they've shown enough promise to say, maybe we can make a small little tweak to pick up a little guy. Hey, thanks, Penzi. Much love. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be a good decision too. Dom has this deal as an overpayment by about $500K per year. Not a horrible bet to make. And you know what? Maybe it's an overpay according to what he does, but it's not an overpay according to what he would have made on the free market. Jake Evans could have made over $3 million in free agency. I would say probably 3.5. So signing at 2.85 maybe is more than he's worth, but it's less than he would have gotten. That's the point I'm trying to make by talking about this deal as a good deal for the Montreal Canadiens. Again, looking at Jake Evans, great rise over the last year from 2023-24 up to 24-25. The finishing's gone up a lot. The defense has dropped a little bit. It's dropped, and the offense has gone up a little bit as well. But overall, Jake Evans is a strong penalty killer. He's a good two-way player. He's a solid third-line center. He's almost like the definition, I'd say, of a third-line center. A guy who can throw a little bit of offense, but be more of a guy that you throw out on the penalty kill to alleviate some of the pressure from your top guys. It's maybe not your definition of like the best third line center, but he fits the description of the third line center that you want on a competing team. And by competing, I mean making the playoffs. Hey, Habs fans, I'm so excited for the next 4 seasons. There you go. Let's go, Jake. Yes, sir. 4 years, 2.85. Jets are releasing Devontae Adams. There you go. Habs and Jake Evans camp renewed talks on Sunday after an extended period without. I think Montreal stuck pretty well to its position, more or less. So Evans, in the end, made the call he didn't want to leave. Hey, look at that. Those are the players you want on your team. Those are the players you want on your team. More than he's worth, but less than he could have got is gracious. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Dice. Because NHL GMs can't manage the bottom of their lineups. There you go. Thank you. So now, last thing I want to do to wrap up this, because we already know about Jake Evans, his value. I think I've said what I need to say. Last thing I want to say is, who are the main trade bait type pieces left? Who are the main pieces left on the trade bait board, especially if I'm talking about a team that says, I want a third line center. So who would be out there? Brock Nelson might be a center who's out there, but he's making $6 million, so that would have to involve some cap manipulation, some 50% retained here and there. For a centerman, Scott Laughton's probably the top center who's available. I'd say even more than Jake Evans for sure. Then you got more depth pieces. You got depth. There's lower down on the list would be Ryan Donato. Trent Frederick is already gone. Dylan Cousins is going to definitely be a question mark. Braden Shen, I don't think is going to be getting traded. So really, who's left if I'm a team that wants like a bottom 6, middle 6, whatever kind of center? It comes down to maybe Nelson, Scott Laughton, Ryan Donato. That's kind of about it. There's not that much more in the center market unless you're going for one of those bigger guys. If I'm going to get like a Dylan Cousins, okay, then I get it. But for a guy who's looking to be more of, not all of them are rentals. I know Scott Laughton has 1 year left, but if I'm looking at a rental, Brock Nelson is a rental, Ryan Donato is a rental. Yanni Gourde, he could play center. I know he's been on the wing a lot in Seattle, but he could play center as well. Jake Evans won't be moving. Nick Bjugstad, potentially, yeah. But now we're moving into different echelons of players, I think, in my opinion. So Jake Evans is a big centerman who comes off the board. Maybe he's not the biggest piece in the world, but of the top 5 centers who are available, I think he was in that conversation. And now it comes down to Nelson, Laughton, Donato, guys like that, with Frederick also being moved today. So Trent Frederick and Jake Evans both gone. If I'm a team that wants a third line center, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit more, especially if I'm a team like Ottawa should be making moves. The Rangers should be making moves. Well, I mean, they already made their big move, so I guess they don't want to, I don't know if they'll be doing much more, but like the Ottawa Senators should be making moves. That's the team that should be making a move. The Montreal Canadiens, I want them to make a move too. But I think these teams are locked in for the divisional spots. It's going to come down to the last 2 spots being decided amongst these 5 teams, in my opinion. So Jake Evans has extended a very team-friendly deal according to what he could have gotten in free agency. I love this contract for who he is as a player. Does it cause problems for like Owen Beck is going to be coming in the lineup and all that? Maybe, but I don't think it's a big deal because Christian Dvorak's contract will be expiring as well. I don't think it's a big deal. Detroit should make a move as well, yes. So you have Owen Beck's in here. Jake Evans is in here. So Christian Dvorak next season is gone. That allows Evans, Beck, and Suzuki to be the 3 centermen. Is that the best center core in the world? Not yet. They still have to grow a little bit more. Like Owen Beck still needs to develop a little bit more. Joshua Waugh should be joining the lineup next season as well, you would think. So yeah, I'm excited for this Canadiens team of the future. Ivan Demidov coming. Michael Hage will be in the system as well. I'm very excited for the future of the Canadiens team. I am glad that Jake Evans will be a part of it. So thanks for joining me for the breakdown, everybody. Leave a like and, of course, subscribe for breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey. Hit that bell to be notified when trades and breaking news in the NHL comes your way. We'll be live in about 5 minutes. Hang on tight with the Trent Frederic breakdown coming up next. Thanks for being here. Make sure to keep an eye out for Friday live coverage on the trade deadline itself. We'll be live for a few hours on Friday. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and join us in our Discord server where the news is always breaking first. We're about 700 in there, always talking hockey, franchise mode, and much more. Thanks, everyone. Go Habs, go. Jake Evans, baby. And we'll talk in a few minutes.